Happy that you joined us again tonight, and it's going to be a great show. We've got a great guest coming up in a little while, but for starters, John and I will kick this thing off and see what's new this week. Hey, John.
Hi, Bob. How are you today? It's can't believe it. It's Memorial Day weekend coming around.
You know, and the dealers that I spoke to this week are going crazy, trying to get all the units ready. And
Right.
because everybody wants to go out on vacation, everybody wants to travel on Memorial Day weekend.
You know, about 2-3 weeks ago when we were visiting the dealers, we visited just about every dealer in New England. They all said that there was a rush in the first week of May because April's weather was so crazy. So then they got the rush, but everybody said, hey, I want to have it for Memorial Day weekend. And I know Sherry, one of our guests tonight is going to be talking about how the business picked up automatically in such a short period of time.
Sure. On the local scene, we've got Hemlock Hill is continuing their sale through this weekend, as is Longview RV. Most dealers are going to have probably shortened hours. A lot of them are closing Sunday and Monday, so Saturday might be a good day to go buy an RV, but be sure to check with the dealers and their websites if they're going to be closed on the Sunday and Monday.
Right. But if you do go on Saturday, folks, don't expect to drive away with it that day.
That's true. You will. yeah, you're not going to do that.
I'm sure that if you went in on Friday, there'd be probably some places that would have the capability to make that happen for you. In fact, our guest tonight, I'm sure if somebody went in on Friday and wanted it on Saturday, that our guest tonight could make that happen. They wouldn't own it. They would at least get to use it.
Yeah, she will find a way. So let's bring her up. And we have Sherry Fuller tonight. And Sherry, welcome to the show. Always fun to see you. The only challenge that I see tonight, and our viewers know us well enough, the only challenge I see tonight is that all three of us like to talk too much. So we have to see who's gonna cut somebody else off, or put a flag up, or say stop. I want to talk. Let me get something in there. But if that's the only problem,
of a live broadcast.
Yeah, if that's the only problem, we got fine. So welcome to the show, Sherry.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.
Yeah,
Bob,
always fun.
We should tell people who she is.
I am Sherry Fuller.
We'll let Sherry tell who she is.
Okay.
I am Sherry Fuller from Fuller Motorhome Rentals in Boylston, Massachusetts.
And you've been in business for?
Well, we've been in business for 34 years, renting motorhomes. And it's my husband and I that do it with our son that's in the garage helping us. So basically, family owned for 34 years, and we can do just about everything.
But Sherry, you also have a third generation that's helping out now as well, right?
We're breaking him in right. He's 4 years. He's just about 4, and he loves to help me show people motorhomes when he's here.
Well, yeah. That's good to get him going early. We get a lot of fans that join in, and we got Jerry Plant there from Cape Cod. Hi, Jerry. And we got Walter Swenson from the Mass Good Sam Rally in Greenfield. Now, Walter, I expect that you're probably in the rally tent, and you've got a large screen TV, and you're broadcasting RVing in New England, and you got about 100 or 200 of the Mass Good Sam people behind you. Is that a correct assumption? We'll have to wait and see how he responds. I know Rhonda will probably check in because they're busy. The Mass Good Sams are out this weekend in Greenfield, and I think you could probably still drive out there and get a camping spot. If somebody hasn't found a camping spot, and Mass Good Sam does it, they got a big lobster scramble out there, and they got a great time. So check the Mass Good Sam, and we'll see. Mass Good Sam, hi guys from the rally. That must be Rhonda and or Joe. Okay, Sherry, every time we go out there in Boylston, right on 140, you are always busy. And that's probably because you got such a great reputation. People know who you are. I assume a lot of people come back year in and year out. Describe, because you are a rental company, you've been there for 34 years. Describe the types of products that you rent, that people and consumers can rent from you. Okay, it is Rhonda. So yes, hello, Rhonda. You must be helping Walter set up the big screen TV. so that the world can see our program tonight. Sherry, tell them about the products that you got.
Okay, we have the Class A's, went from the luxury line of a 42-foot diesel pusher with a tag, and we go all the way down to a 26-foot Axis, just in the A's, and we have four Class A's. We have Class C's, 23 Class C's for rent with 21 different floor plans in the Class C's.
21?
Plus 21 out of 20 out of 23 Class C's.
Well, yeah, I didn't know you could get 20. I didn't know you could get 21 different floor plans in a Class C.
Just tweaked a little, and they're different.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
And then we have the two Bs now, but actually we're retiring one of the Bs. The Vista Cruiser is retired. We now have a 2019 Coachman CrossFit, which is absolutely gorgeous, fully loaded, perfect for two people out there, and it has 4 seatbelts in the back, so you can actually carry some people in the back now. So which is nice.
That's nice. Coachman's getting back into the Class B business. In fact, I did a story in RB News on them, I think in the last issue. And the CrossFit, if I remember correctly, is on the Ford Transit chassis, and their Galleria is on the Mercedes-Benz, right?
Right. We ended up going with the Ford Transit. It was more economical price-wise. And they drove it back last week from the factory, and it was getting on the average 18 miles to the gallon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gas. That's gas.
Yeah,
that's great.
Gas.
Yeah,
That's
they've done
really
a nice
good.
job. Yeah, that's
a good tailwind on I-90.
Yep.
Yep, exactly.
Hey, Bob, there's one thing that we should mention here, and I wrote this down before we started. Sherry is probably one of the hardest working people, and I'm not saying hardest working women or females or whatever, but she's got to be one of the hardest working people in the industry, because no matter what time of year and what time of night I drive by there, and I've driven by at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and those lights are on and that office is open. Plus, she's at all the major shows. She's there at the start of the show. She's there at the end of the show. And, and she's still, she diverts her calls so that she takes her calls right on her cell phone. And, we've seen people at shows, Bob, dog it. But she's working the whole time. You
took my thought, because we criticize a lot of people at the shows, and it's amazing to me. They stick up this table like it's a wall in front of them. They sit on a chair and they play with their iPhones or
read a book.
Do something. But every show that we go to that Sherry is at, she has people in her booth. It's inviting. She brings them in. And once she gets them in there, she talks about it, and she's got another customer. She's probably one of the hardest working show people we have on the circuit.
Yep.
Here in New England.
Yeah. But Sherry, there was another thing that you mentioned, is that you've got these Class A's, 42, 43 feet, diesel pushers, et cetera. If someone wants to take advantage of the luxury and convenience of that, but is afraid to drive it, how do you solve that issue?
Because
it can be intimidating.
We have done, we'll take them for a test drive. And if they're still intimidated and they have to have that unit, we will do a chauffeur job. My husband is the driver, Bobby, and he has done 5 chauffeur jobs in the last 6 months. He's gone to Sacramento, California, and back in 6 days, chauffeuring. He has gone to Memphis with a family of 7. They had a great time. He brought a older woman on oxygen down to her Florida home. And that was in like 3 days. He was down and back. And he also just did a family from India that came over and wanted to go from Boston to Providence and a couple zoos. 5 days he drove them around. He was with them for 13 hours a day, sometimes over that. And I mean, he goes all over. And we had an entertainment coach, so he knows, he's got his license, he's got his passenger endorsement. This is what he was brought up doing, was a coach driver. So he is great with people. It's
But
just
we
as
should
long
also
as they know where they're going.
we should also say he was a NASCAR driver too, but he doesn't drive in that style anymore. He won't drive you around in circles 400 times, right?
Okay, but he's got to get his foot out of it, okay?
So well, speaking about NASCAR, you do a great business, and I know you have the schedule out every year, but you do a big business with people who either want to come into New England to attend some of the races, or groups of people that don't want to take their cars up there, but they want to rent an RV and take it up there. So that's a big part of your business, right?
Yeah, we do. We try to get as many racing. As you said, we give out the racing schedule at all the shows, and I have it in the office. And we try to get as many racers. We were in it for years, and our son is still in it. So we are still part of the racing family. So that will never get out of our blood. So we always try to promote it as much as we can.
Interesting. What are some of the other applications, or some of the other ways that people, what do they do when they rent the RVs? Is it a lot of family vacation? What do they do?
Well, what it is, you've got people that are renovating their houses. They're having their floors done. They have fire damage, water damage, smoke damage. We have 14 trailers that we will deliver, set up, and pick up at people's houses or overflow sleeping. But we also will bring them to any campground, whether it's New Hampshire, the Cape, Maine, anywhere in Mass, set it up, and then go back and pick it up. And we have no problem doing that. We're next week, the Best Buddies ride down at the Cape. We've been bringing them to
Tom Brady,
units.
right?
Yes,
That's
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
We've been supplying the motorhomes for them since, I want to say, at least 2001. We've been bringing them down, setting them up, and then going back and picking them up.
That's amazing.
Bob, just from a technical perspective, for some reason or another, I'm not seeing viewers or comments on my screen, so you may have to keep a special lookout for that. I normally do that. For some reason, I'm not seeing that.
Well, Walter said there is space out there. The sites are available.
Right.
They have the lobster dinner. They have a potluck dinner. And Rhonda agrees with him, so we don't have any other comments there.
Mm-hmm.
But Jerry Plant's on here, and Jerry's with Majors RV, and they do a phenomenal job, and they're good supporters of NERVDA and the like. Talk about what happened. Let's be realistic. Things happen when you're on the road, whether you own the RV or whether you rent the RV. How do you handle those delicate situations when I've seen some of you guys in action, and you're fantastic. But tell somebody, allay their fears that, what if I rent an RV and I go down to Memphis and, I'm in Graceland, and then I get back in the RV and it doesn't stop. Tell us how you support them that way.
Well, when they leave, they have a 3-page cheat sheet, which at the top, I highlight our phone number that's 24/7. As you said, I have the phone always with me. I'm always answering it. So usually I have a smartphone or a laptop or my desktop. I get right on the internet wherever they are, doesn't matter. And I get a list of who's ever in the area, whether it's mobile or if they can drive it to them, who's open. And I keep calling until somebody answers the phone and can actually help me. And then I get back to the people and tell them what has to be done. A lot of times it's simple and I can tell them how to fix it. But if it's something major, I will get online and find them a place so they don't lose any time, because they can't afford to lose time, because I can't afford to lose time.
Yep. And that's a good point. And I've seen you do it. And I remember being at one of the shows that you were working, and Bobby just, you were talking to Bobby, and then next thing you know, you had to go because Bobby was going to jump into another Class C motorhome and drive it overnight to Atlanta, Georgia, to replace it because the customer had a problem. He was going to bring the other one. They couldn't resolve it on the phone, and it may have been, probably was something very simple, but you're so dedicated to the customers themselves that he drove overnight down to Atlanta, picked up that other one, brought it home, and left them with another unit.
Yep. And that's what we'll do. depending on how far away they are and depending on what time of their vacation is, if we have the opportunity to switch it out because it's a mechanical malfunction that is beyond anybody's control, we'll do whatever it takes to get them into.
Jerry's got a question. Let me put it up on the screen here and try a little handiwork. Can you read that, Sherry?
Yeah, I don't see anything.
You don't? Oh, you're not seeing anything. Okay.
No, I don't see anything either.
Okay, so maybe it's just working on my end. But Jerry wants to know, what is the length of the typical rental?
It could be
duration.
We do as short as 1 day, all the way up to 6 weeks, and sometimes longer if it's in a trailer while somebody's finishing their house or actually fixing their house from fire. We've done them up to a year on a travel trailer, and then the insurance usually pays it for the length of time to rebuild the house.
Interesting. You know, there was a great story in the trade press that the consumers don't typically see this week about rentals and rental companies and dealers. And within RVDA, which is our National Dealer Association, we have a subgroup called the RV Rental Association. And they published a survey and results from a survey. And 80% of the people, the dealers that were renting, expect their revenues to be higher this year. Actually, it was 60% said they would be higher. 20% said they would be the same or better. So 80% are expecting an increase in business. And given the economy and the amount of money that's out there, on a percentage basis, what do you think, you know, if you want to share some number of percentages rather than numbers, but I assume you're up because you're always busy over there.
We're always busy. You get a lot of people that come in, look around, and then they leave. Okay, just like sales, they're doing the same thing with the rentals. They get the prices, they go home, they talk it over. Can they afford it? Is it in our budget? Do we want to go now? They're pricing for later. But 3/4, I'd say, in the last 2 years, there have been more people coming in the day before, and they want one. The day before.
Wow,
I had
that's
one
amazing.
just here at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and they were looking at something to start tomorrow for 3 days. And they wanted to know what we could get. I said, well, I need to know as soon as possible because I got to go to the registry.
Right. Hey, guys, one thing that we were talking about earlier, you know, with the number of Class A's, Class B's, and Class C's, but you also have an extensive fleet of travel trailers for those that might already own an SUV, you know, or a pickup truck. But the other thing that I know you told me about before at another time is that if a person wants to go camping, there are occasions where you will bring the trailer right to the campsite, set it up so that all the person has to do is go in, enjoy it, and then when it's time to leave, you guys come and pick it up, right?
Yep, we've dealt with a lot of campgrounds where Normandy Farm, we're their rental affiliate. I just set up with a campground up in Maine, and up in New Hampshire, Goose Hollow, their rental affiliate, and I forget the one in Maine. It's Meadowbrook. But he saw me up at the New Hampshire show and asked me, Meadowbrook?
Was it Meadow Ledge in Wells?
No, hold on,
No.
wait. Hold it. I know I'm moving.
Wait a minute. Just happen to have it right here. Huh?
Meadowbrook.
In Wells.
Nope, they're in Phillipsburg. Pittsburgh.
Either way, they're in Maine.
They're in Maine. Either way.
They're in Maine.
Yeah.
But
talking about
you want to go RVing without an RV, and you make that possible for them to enjoy that. And I know Bob, better than anybody in the industry, talks about the family values that are prominent and present at a campground around the campfire.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Well, and it must be great when they come back and they got a big smile on their face and they're happy and they want to do it again, especially if it's the first time they rented. And, we're seeing a lot of first-time buyers now because of the Go RVing, because of the economy, the promotions for the RV lifestyle, and the family value. So I know a lot of our dealers are seeing a tremendous increase in first-time buyers. How about first-time renters?
Huge amount of first time. I'd say at least half of our renters are first timers. They're coming in. They've never done it before. They've talked about buying one, but they don't know if they like it. So this is what they want to do. And I've had people, they want to go cross country. I said, have you ever been in one? Have you ever used one? Well, no. I said, then please just do a 3-day, just so that you know you don't want to get halfway cross country. And they're all for it. They'd rather do a dry run so that they don't get out there and really not know it. They're more comfortable when they head out for the long trip.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry just said that they had a dozen first timers in the store this week alone, and of course they're down at Bourne, Cape Cod, so probably a lot of people heading out to the Cape and their first time, and all of a sudden they come upon Majors, which got one of the largest parts and accessory stores in New England, besides the service center, and there's the new people coming in and say, what do I need? What should I buy? They probably left the dealership, stopped at Majors, and they're on the way to the campground saying, what do I need? Because I really want to have a nice weekend in the campground.
Hey, Bob, one interesting statistic that Sherry just brought up, she said 50% of her business is first-timers. However, the flip side of that same statistic is that 50% of her business is repeat.
That's a great point.
So that is pretty impressive that you obviously over-delivered on your product or service to that person to want them to come back again. And, I don't think I know, because I've been around there enough times, you don't let anything leave that lot until it's 110%. And Matt won't let anybody go out of there either. Talk about him for a little bit.
So Matt's our son. He handles all the maintenance, and he has developed a 150-point checklist before anything leaves. He checks all the way down to the ball joints. He'll check and he found a bad upper or lower ball joint. He's like, I can't do it. Dad's going to have to find somebody to do it. But ball joints, he has his little headlight, and he will go check every
He looks like a surgeon when he wears that headlight.
He does every inch of each tire on that vehicle, looking for dry rot, looking for scalloping. We keep 15 tires in stock, mounted and balanced for any of the units. So if he comes across one, he'll say, Dad, we can't send this out. It's dry rot around the center or the tread. It's not going to do it. We need to change it. And they agree. They change it. If the fronts, he notices the fronts aren't wearing right, he'll check with his father, and they'll actually set the toe. Bobby will get the toe stick out, and he'll set the toe right there so that the next time it goes out, it's the right way. He works.
I'm laughing because Walter just posted a note, and he says, and Walter's the incoming state director for right. Yeah. And he's crafty. I've been following him on Facebook. I don't know if you guys, but he's rebuilding a trailer and just rebuilt the whole slide out on the trailer. So he's crafty. But he says if you sell to first timers this week, or I think he means if you rent to first timers this week, send them to Greenfield to the rally, and we'll make sure they have a great time. So let me put up the rally address on that. John, you've been to Greenfield. In fact, you may be going out to Greenfield, right?
I'm going out. I'm going out Friday afternoon, and my two granddaughters have been asking me for 3 weeks, Papa, when are we going out there? And, Friday, they got a half day of school, so we're leaving early. I talked to the Cavoses. They got a spot for us, and we'll be there. We'll do some Facebook Live videos right here. And I'll tell you, there is probably not a more welcoming group of people than Good Sammers. And the Massachusetts people are special. Yeah.
Let me go back to the RVIA. I RVRA survey. And this is from the industry. So the industry at the end of this report says, prior to renting an RV this summer, RVRA recommends customers ask their rental agent these basic questions. Now, this is not a setup. I didn't share these with Sherry before the show. We don't do that kind of stuff. And if we did, we'd tell you, because we're so stupid, we'd just tell you what we're doing anyways.
And we didn't share it with each other.
Right. Does the rental agency keep regular hours for drop-off and pickup?
Well, for drop-off, we like them back in the morning. So between 9 and actually as late as 1. So between 9 and 1, we like them to come back. And that's 7 days a week. And they go out between 12 and 5, 7 days a week.
Okay. How this for first-time renters? Does the rental company provide an orientation on the RV systems and components? I think you addressed that already.
It usually takes me, and my husband Bobby is always after me because sometimes I take a little too long. Anywhere from an hour, and I've seen some of them where I've had to go over it many times, to 2 hours. But what I do, I got smart the last 2 years, and I have the people that are at least local or close enough come in within 2 weeks of going, and I have them come in after 5 o'clock when we should be quiet, and I don't care, we'll do up to a 2-hour show through, making sure they understand it. So the day they come in to pick it up, it's literally, they can leave a car here, so they can get out of their car, get in the motorhome, and go. So there's no time wasted the day of departure.
With all the technology that we have now, do a lot of the renters actually pull out their phone and make a video of you going through that orientation, or is that something that you suggest to them?
Half of them do. At least half of them will do that. It's easier for them to refer back. So they just video the whole thing, and I'm with that because it goes quicker.
Sure. All right, I'll give you one more from this, and then we'll go back to our audience there. But actually, you already answered this one. If customers have questions about the RV during the trip, is there a phone number they can call or text for help? So you already answered that. We know you're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah. Next one is, what are the terms of the security deposit, which is an important part of rental, as it is with houses and apartments and rental cars and everything else, but maybe people don't understand it. So what about the security deposit?
So the security deposit it kind of works 2 ways. It's your reservation deposit when they reserve it, and then it turns into a security deposit when they leave. And when they come back, it will cover overages if they don't empty the holding tanks, if they don't refill the fuel tank and the propane tank, if they don't even attempt to clean it inside and out. That could be put towards that, so they're not paying out of their pocket, that it's coming out of security deposit. And if there's easy pass violations or parking tickets and damages. I mean, I've seen where sometimes the security deposit is applied to the deductible. And unfortunately, with RV rentals, it's very hard to get a low deductible. So our deductible is $2,500. So they're responsible for the first $2,500. So part of that reservation deposit, the whole thing, whether it's $500, $1,000, $1,500, would go towards the insurance if something happened.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But it does take a month to get it back. 30 days to get it back.
I'm listening.
Sherry, I had my phone next to me, and I said, "Hey, Sherry," and Siri came back and said, "I'm listening." But anyway, let me turn the phone off.
Maybe Siri wants to rent an RV.
Sherry, hey, if somebody rents from you, and say it's 1 week to Florida or the Poconos or something like that, and then they want to buy something from you, either that particular unit or one of the other units that you've got there. Is there any type of deal that you'll make with them that some of their rental cost would go toward the purchase?
Yes, we actually will take a 3-day portion of the rental and apply it towards the purchase when they're ready. We asked it to be done in 6 months if they're looking at wanting to have that forwarded towards it. Otherwise, yeah, at least they tried it.
Okay. Okay. And there's another thing. You used a term. I should tell people this, that I helped write some of your radio ads over the last few years. So
Yes,
the phrase, try it before you buy it, is really a trade that is really kind of a slogan that you live by. Why is it important for someone to, quote unquote, try it before they buy it?
Because a lot of people have no idea if they're going to like it. It's, people that are used to doing hotel rooms, then it's smaller. It's, they've got to do everything themselves. The maids don't come in to make the bed. But
they don't.
You've got
However, you will provide linens.
Yes, we do. We do give them. A lot of people that fly in, we pick them up at the airport, we bring them out to the motorhome, we set them up with all the linens and the kitchen setup and the chairs, and if they want to grill, we'll set them up with that, and they go off, and then they come back. We bring them back to the airport or the hotel, and that's kind of a unique thing that we do too, because we have the transportation side of our business because of my father-in-law that used to do it for us, and then we kept it going for him. So I go in and out of the airport with a 15-passenger van, with the car, and I'll pick the people up at the curb, bring them out, and they could be flying in at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'll go in, get them, and we'll send them out early, because that's how it ended up with them coming in if they're not coming in the night before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Speaking about that, talking about airports, a lot of the interest in rentals is obviously coming from the Far East for the rental companies on the West Coast, but also Europe on the East Coast. And with the dollar exchange and everything, it's very attractive for them to come over here, rent an RV. How much international business do you do? And is there a difference between your international customer and your domestic customer?
In the 80s and in the 90s, it was huge. I actually had to have my owner's manual put into 5 different languages just to accommodate them, because a lot of them had translators with them because they couldn't even speak English. But now over the years, they're more apt, and they have good English. But I would say maybe 20%. It hasn't rebounded back to where it used to be. And those people don't come over till late summer too.
Yeah. And when they come, they're usually a much longer rental duration than the Americans, right? They usually take for 3 weeks to a month.
Exactly. Yes, they do. They'll go from 2 weeks to a month, because that's how long their vacation is from there, because they shut down the country when they do their vacations overseas.
In August, right. I know that's the way it is in Italy.
Yep.
Sherry, there's one thing, we're talking about reasons to rent an RV, and I just came back from a trip not too long ago. Luckily, it was an RV trip. We were out in Tennessee and Kentucky, and I'll tell you one 2-word phrase that has RVing over any other type of travel out there, and those 2 words are public bathrooms.
Exactly. People
that
want their own
RV.
Yep. They don't want to go in and use that public bathroom. They want their own. They know who's been on that seat.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't going to get that specific. but yeah, that's one of the things that turned my wife on to loving the RV, is that our own bathrooms, our own sheets. We can stop when we want. We don't have to rush to check in. If you get one of the smaller units, and we had the Wendland say last week, they like taking the blue roads and the yellow roads, the state roads and the county roads instead of the interstates. And that's when you really get to see America or Canada.
Yeah.
Well, and they're right, because you know what? Don't forget, you can stay in Lowe's, I'm not sure about Home Depot, Walmart, Sam's Club, some Cracker Barrels, Cabela's, overnight for free. So, like you were just saying, you can stop, sleep, get up, and then hit the road. And you're not paying anybody. So it's perfect freedom.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
We certainly,
especially when they're touring. Yeah.
Yeah. We certainly don't condone staying in those places in lieu of a campground, but, and not camping at a Walmart, but for sleeping at a Walmart.
Yeah,
exactly.
That type of thing for just a few hours.
Yeah.
I know when we do the Walmart thing, we always go into the Walmart and buy $100 worth of food or something. So it wasn't a freebie by any means. But
how often have you gone to a store and only needed one thing? You always forget something. So it's a quick, easy, you go, you get one or two things, and then you go back and go to sleep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jerry just wrote that. Did you see Jerry's note, Bob? They're taking US 2 across the country later this year. I don't know exactly where Route 2 runs. I know it runs.
Well, the Mohawk Trail,
right?
Well, it comes all the way down here to Concord and Belmont, right into Boston. Actually,
right. And then across to the Berkshires. What wasn't Longview originally right on Route 2?
They were on the Mohawk Trail. Does Route 2 actually go across the entire country?
I don't think so.
20 does.
That's not going to be a short trip, Jerry. I mean, that's a great trip. I think Route 2 and taking those back roads are great, and not the I-90, right? It's always not the I-90. That's interesting. I didn't realize. I have to go check that on a map.
Yeah, well, Sherry just did, because Sherry looked to the right to see her map up there.
yeah, she's got that big map. Jerry mentioned Harvest Host. We've talked about Harvest Host.
The map is over there.
Oh, you're in the different side of the office?
Yes.
Jerry mentioned Harvest Host, and Harvest Host is really great. You join that group, but you stay free of charge at wineries, farms, just different types of places. So again, if you want a different type of experience and you're traveling through and you want a one night, and if it's a vineyard, that's beautiful. They usually have good locations, great sunsets. You go in and buy a bottle of wine and some cheese, and you sit outdoors and look at a great sunset, get a good night's sleep, and head off in the morning. So that's the purpose behind Harvest Host. Some people stay longer at the farm and work the farm the next day and do a helping hand on the farms. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Hey, Sherry, of your current business, what's the percentage of people that are? I got hi Siri again. There we go. Quiet, Siri. What's the breakdown of your audience from young families with kids, that might be the Disney crowd, versus retirees versus two generations going together? Do you see much of that?
It's a mix. It's all over the board. You have kids in their early 20s that are just getting into it, up to that. I've got grandparents that are in their 70s, and they're taking
watch that age bracket, lady.
Anywhere from 20 to 70.
Okay.
Interesting. Hey, I was by the other day, Sherry, and I happened to notice that there were an awful lot of new units there. And typically when we come by and see new units on your lot, you're getting them ready for the rental fleet. But I understand there's a little change going on at Fuller RV Rentals and Sales, and those are not rental units. Want to tell us what you're up to?
We're actually in the process of attempting, for the first time in 34 years, attempting to sell retail. So my husband's on his way back with 3 units from Gulfstream that are going to be strictly for sale. So we're going to see how we can compete with the regular dealers. But again, we're just trying it out to see how we do. Where we got a handful that we're going to be able to try and see how the summer takes it. And we'll go from there. But we are attempting to do retail.
Interesting. Well, now, and that's an interesting thing for your customers too, because you also turn over your fleet. So you always had used pre-owned units, used units that were in the rental fleet that you turn every year. You turn over a certain percentage of your fleet. So somebody now coming onto your lot, and you do have the largest rental fleet in New England, I'm sure, from everybody out there. But somebody coming on to your, visiting your dealership, they can see all the rental units. They can look at the pre-owned ones that are now being turned. You mentioned the Vista Cruiser is going, and now you have some new units. So you're becoming more, full service type of a dealer.
Right, and with the rentals that we sell as the used units, we do stand behind them. Unlike some of the other dealerships, because they were on the rental fleet, that try before you buy, and you get a 1-year bumper-to-bumper unlimited mileage warranty. So we stand behind them because they're on the rental fleet and we did all the work to them. We stand behind them for 1 full year, so that that's kind of like they're not. It's a $2,000 option in the retail industry. We're doing it out of good faith to give them a sense of security.
Interesting. Hey, Sherry, one of the things that I think is interesting to point out is that, say your unit is rented say you've got a unit that's rented on a week-by-week basis. When that comes back on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, you don't just put gas in it and send it back out. I mean, you go through it again, like Matt, like you said, with the 150-point thing. I don't do that with the unit that I own. So in many cases, your units have had a higher maintenance ritual, whatever you want to call it. It's gone through more safety checks than a person who owns their own and doesn't do that every week.
Exactly. So what it is, and anything we do to any of them, if we rotate the tires, if he changes the oil, if he changes the generator oil, all you've got to do is pop the hood of the coach, and right under it is everything is written. So you've got the whole history from day one to the present day. What has been done to that vehicle? So there's no question about it. You know that nothing's been lacking on it. So you can feel confident about it.
Interesting. So tell us where you're located again. You mentioned Boylston, Mass. There's a lot of activity going on there, right at 140. But what exit number is it, and how can people reach you?
Okay, we are at exit 23, B as in boy, off of Route I-290. And it's actually the Route 140 North exit, and we're a mile down. You have to have some patience these days because FedEx is going in up the street, and the traffic is getting a little crazy. But they're going to have a traffic light up there, so it might alleviate some of it. But we are here. We're a mile down on the left, open 7 days a week, year-round.
Okay.
Well, it's okay. It's okay if they get stuck. There's a new Dunkin' Donuts there too.
Yes, there is.
That's right. Now, Sherry, for people that might be watching this in another part of New England that may not, obviously, it's always best to come to your facility, see the actual unit, sit in it, see how high it is above the ground, and see, if the driver's seat is too good for them or too big for them or whatever. But does the website have any of the pictures of the units so they could kind of get a feel for it?
Yep,
when
right
they
there.
get here, yep.
I didn't know that.
We take
I didn't know
pictures inside and outside, and all the details are there too. So when you go into the individual units, you have all the details, what they have, pictures, the pricing, and they can request a quote at any time, and we answer it every day. So we get right back to them.
Okay.
Yep, it's all there. Well, Sherry, I want to thank you. We're coming up on 7:45 here, so we stretched our time a little bit. I want to thank you very much for joining us. You're always free with your time when John and I come around, and we appreciate that. But I know your customers appreciate it too because of the way that you interact with them at the shows, and you built a tremendous business over there. And we're certainly happy to have you as a member of NERVDA. And John, any closing part? We'll give Sherry the last word. Let me say this before we go. The next 3 weeks, the A team's coming on. I am going to Italy for 3 weeks. I promised the family I'm going to try not to work, which means I will not be on the show for the next 3 weeks. John's going solo. We are going to try one night. I am going to get up at 2 a.m. and try to jump on the broadcast and join in, just so we can say we're reporting from Italy, someplace in Italy. I'm not sure where I'm going to be.
Bob, tell them why you're going to Italy.
It is our 50th wedding anniversary, and we're taking the kids over and the family over and having our celebration, our 50th anniversary, wedding anniversary in the homeland. And we'll be traveling all around and got a little villa about a mile northwest of Rome. And
you found out directly across the street from the place you're staying, there's a guy that what?
There's a guy that has a motorhome, and he's the cousin of the people that we're getting the villa from, and he has a German motorhome, so I think I'll do an interview with him over there and write it off on my taxes next year. And everybody else plays games with the IRS, so I may as well try it and say it was a business trip. So yeah. I'll talk to
Bob,
every
not a good idea to broadcast it across the world right now on Facebook Live, but by next year the government won't be on your back as much.
Right.
But
so if I'm missing now, you know the reason why. But I'm looking forward to it, and John is going to go solo and select his guests, and we'll have a good time. So closing thoughts from you, John, before we turn it over to Sherry.
Okay.
John?
Well, we're here.
Okay,
Come
Sherry,
on in.
He froze up a little bit. So Sherry, I'll give you the closing thoughts for tonight.
Okay, I'd say come check us out. Check out the new units. Check out the old units. Check out the rental units. See what we've got. Come in, see us, and give us some business, please.
Yeah. Jerry Plant says, thanks, Sherry, and he says 20-second delay over satellite. So I'm not sure. Maybe that's what it is. We're getting a little bounce back on the satellite. Okay, guys, that's it for tonight. This is RVing in New England. Tune in again next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and we appreciate you joining in tonight. And, John, have a great time out at the Mass Good Sam Rally with Walter and Lisa and Jason and Rhonda and Joe, everybody else out there.
Have a great evening, everyone.
All right, take care. Good night now.
Thank you.